Good morning, peoples. December the 22nd. So close to Christmas. And you've been a naughty, naughty boy or girl. You're going to get coal in your stocking. Half of you probably don't even know what it means. That's an old reference growing up. And because I'm old and growing up, that's what we were told. If we're bad, we're going to get coal in our little stocking hanging by the chimney. I don't know if people even do stockings anymore, stocking stuffers. The 22nd. If I had but one wish and it could be granted for the asking, I would ask for more wisdom with which to enjoy the many blessings I possess under the American form of government. That's funny. That's funny with all the crap going on right now with the election. It never ceases to amuse me how this book applies, years later. It's current. Someone once said that democracy is a lot like making sausage. I don't know who said that, but okay. It's not very pretty, but the result is all that matters. Yeah, sausage is made of all the garbage pieces of the pig, like offal. They call it OFFAL, offal, leftover pig parts. Kind of disgusting, but yeah, have you had a bratwurst? Johnsonville bratwurst cooked in beer? With onions, unbelievable. And it's pig parts, leftover pig parts. We are indeed fortunate that our country's founders were learned. Oh, that's one you haven't heard in a long time, learned. So it's like learned, but it's actually pronounced learned because it means they're knowledgeable, educated, and had themselves experienced oppression under British rule. They were determined to construct a system of democracy that would allow an open and honest analysis of public policy, which would ultimately lead us to decisions that best serve the majority of the people. We are blessed with a model of democracy and free market economics that other countries around the world can only strive to emulate. Well, that was true. The next time you're involved in a conversation in which others criticize our form of government, put in a good word for America. Remind them how fortunate we are to live in a country where we can openly criticize our leaders, argue among ourselves, and ultimately arrive at a solution that best serves us all. Well, that's, as I said yesterday, and no, I swear to God, I did not read ahead to that paragraph, and as I said yesterday, that's pretty much gone. The fact that we were like that as a country irked a lot of people. It bothered them. They really didn't like us having such a large middle class, free, independent, all those things. That was true my whole life growing up in America, but I've noticed that I think the problem was term limits. There really ought to be term limits, and not just for the presidency, but for every politician, down to the local level, mayor, whatever, the governors of the House. There shouldn't be a Joe Biden in politics. 47 years in politics, it doesn't make any sense, because he's very wealthy, very powerful, and lots of people want to give him money, millions and millions of dollars for his influence. And that was as a congressman, not even as the president. And as vice president, he made a bunch of money as vice president. So it's become corrupt. People in general are weak. And the sad state of affairs is America, as it is now, is not what he described in the book, and it's going to get worse in the next 4 years. Believe me, don't believe me, it doesn't matter to me. I know what's happening. I can see it clear as day. It makes me sad. It is what it is. And the bottom line is that society they described is harder to manage. I talked before about the game I used to play on the computer. My buddy Steve from the Navy turned me on to a game called Civilization, which is like SimCity, Age of Empires, all those, where you build cities and people, and you got to tend to their needs. You're the emperor, lord, king, whatever. You're the city manager for all these cities, and you know, you go to war and stuff like that. And of course, like I said before, I'm a fucking animal. That's what I do, is I kill everybody. That's one way to win the game, is to destroy every other civilization. So yeah, this guy, I build armies faster than anybody else. I build cities faster than anybody else, so I can build more armies so I can kill the other cities. Is what it is. Sorry, not sorry. The other way to win the game is to be peaceful and colonize another planet. Put a colony, settle on another planet besides Earth. I did that once, and I probably played that game, I don't know, 100 times, 200 times, whatever it's been. Not a lot. I'm not addicted to games like today's vidiots, but you know, I played it quite a few times on the computer, especially when I first discovered it, and that's hours. I mean, that's why I don't play it. You don't play the game in 20 minutes. It's an hours long thing, and then you save it and go back to it, especially if you do the peaceful thing, because turns have to go by, which is time, real life time, turns in the game for you to get the technology to settle the moon. In the beginning, like man, you have basic shit like building roads and building greeneries so your cities grow faster, building weapons like chariots, you know, chariot units, phalanxes for defense. You have to discover ironworking, right, before you can build a legion, right, like the Roman legions. You got to discover bronze working before you can build phalanxes to defend your city, stuff like that. So anyway, I mentioned before, there's forms of government in that game. It was very far-reaching. 1995 or something, it came out, and the concepts were incredible because it's lifelike in that you pick a government, you have religions, you build temples to keep people happy. There's an Elvis character. You take a worker out of the field, you make him an entertainer, and he's a little guy in a white Elvis suit, and that makes the people happy, right, watching TV. It was very astute. Sid Meier, who designed the game for Microprose, did actually a really good job, especially once again for 1995. I don't think there's anything like this out there at the time. And as I mentioned, when I pick governments for what I want to do, which is destroy everything, I pick communist, because when you do a republic, which is what America is, it's very difficult to manage the people. It's a full-time job. And if you build a unit like a catapult or a chariot, a army unit, a military unit, and they leave the city, the people become unhappy immediately. So it's very hard to destroy everybody else while you're a republic. It's hard to manage. It takes a lot of work. The people tend not to be. You gotta put a lot of resources, a lot of time into making the people happy. So the people who are playing CivNet with the world right now don't want to put the effort into making America happy, don't want to support the middle class and the freedom that we had. So that's going away, guys. That's going away, which is a damn shame. So the latest with COVID here, we're still going to wait. We're probably not going to go down to Chiang Mai early, because we're waiting to see if they're locking down the country because of this latest outbreak of cases in one province here out of 70-something provinces. It came out at a fish market, and the Thai people are freaking out. Like I said, they're afraid, and now Americans are afraid too. And so fear is what's letting them be controlled. So my girlfriend, who's Thai, I'm in Thailand, lied to me and said that everything was locked down, and that's not true. It's not locked down. And I told a buddy of mine, the guy who was supposed to come and get married, he wrote me and he's like, my girlfriend's telling me it's locked down, what's going on? I'm like, well, let me check. And I asked her, and she said, oh yeah, the whole thing, Chiang Mai locked down, everything locked down, which we can't fly to Pattaya if Pattaya's locked down. If Chiang Mai is locked down, we'd be stuck, so we'd just stay here. So I was bummed because I was looking forward to the trip. I told my friend, your girlfriend is correct. It's like, it was not true. She was afraid. She's afraid of the freaking virus. So, it's working. They're doing a good job striking fear into the hearts of people in America and in Thailand. I did a meme on Facebook when this thing first started, March or April, and it said, how does one dog control a herd of sheep? And the answer was fear. True story.